Welcome back to the Morning Edition. We're joined now in studio by Anthony Grant for the news that you may have missed while scanning the headlines. Good morning
to you.
We shared a little joke there before we came on air.
The beautiful and dramatic weather.
Yeah, you know.
Anyway, no laughing matter for some of you don't like the cold and the snow.
Yeah, okay. More to the serious news
Yeah. Back to politics ever so briefly. New York Senator Chuck Schumer has now called on fellow Democrats to attend Netanyahu's planned speech in Congress next month. So he's jumping into that fray of, should we go or should we not go? Is it good or is it not good? Yeah. So he's in the Let's Do It campaign or group, I should say. So let's see what happens with that as the date approaches.
And Jeb Bush is eager to hear it as well.
I think a lot of people are going to be eager to hear it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a speech, and it's Congress, free speech, kind of capital of the world. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but Schumer
it's very,
is on
contested. So it would be interesting, to just kind of be a part of it all.
Yeah, now it's like a phenomenon.
Yes.
Back in the USA, this little headline from the New York Daily News: former New York City Mayor Giuliani has claimed that President Obama, and it pains him to say it, he says, but does not love America.
That's an inflammatory statement.
Is
it surprising coming from him?
I don't think it is, and we'll have another story in just a second that sort of reverberates to that. But Giuliani is the mayor that guided New York City through the terror attack and the aftermath of 9/11, and the whole thing with Obama avoiding the use of the term Islamic when it comes to the terrorist threat that's faced in so many quarters of the world has really dredged up a lot of acrimony. And this, I believe, is coming from that, which we'll see in just a second. But before, a very cool picture from Al Aram, Egyptian newspaper, of President al-Sisi there, inspecting the western border of Egypt in defense of the homeland.
Libya,
basically, is what it's saying there in Arabic. And what this is talking about is the Libyan Egyptian situation. Sisi is trying to project an image that he is looking out for Egypt's interests. In a picture like this, it shows him sort of on the scene, looking very serious and like a general.
With various security forces and army generals.
Because at the same time, Qatar, of course, has kind of recalled its ambassador to Egypt over a spat between Qatar and Egypt, because Egypt is pointing the finger at Qatar, saying they support terrorism, Qatar saying that they don't. So again, when you see articles like this, it goes to this sort of theme or leitmotif of Sisi's whole agenda, which is to keep Egypt secure, regardless of diplomatic fallout. So
he is a military man, being a former general himself and a defense minister. So I think he knows the game he's playing, and he's
and it's an important one. I mean, that much I think nobody can contest. The Times of London has a story, which you've been seeing here and there, but again, it's something that's very topical, saying that Islamists unite to devastate Syria's ancient treasures. We've talked about this story in the past, but again, it's just something that is very disturbing to see that yet again the victims of the civil strife in the region, Syria particularly, it's talking about, it's not just people, which of course is the most horrific thing, but also cultural treasures like that beautiful mosaic. I think it's a Roman one that they show, which apparently has been damaged.
And it's just no respect for history, no respect for the past. It's really unbelievable, because these are things that you cannot reverse. And Syria is so rich with this ancient history, with these ancient structures. And
a lot of it is being pilfered and sold on the black market to fund illicit activity. There are some efforts to try to salvage it, but it's really it's a struggle.
It's like as if the Civil War couldn't get any worse.
The cultural plunder that goes with
terrible.
it is very sad. At least it's in the press. Hopefully, it will raise awareness to the issue.
Absolutely.
New York Times. Again, this goes back a little bit in a way to the Giuliani story. The White House faulted for avoiding Islamic, quote-unquote Islamic labels to describe terrorism. White House cites a strategic logic. Again, this has been a real political football in the American press, sort of the right of center versus center publications saying it's not such a big deal, making a mountain out of a molehill, though, and even the New York Times covers this, which is basically, can be said, a pro-Obama newspaper. That it's actually, at least it's an issue of national conversation. Should the president, should the White House call some would say, a spade, or kind of keep sort of just mentioning extremism in general terms. So
interesting timing here as well, because we know the anti-terror summit is going on out in Washington.
That's where this is actually coming from, the story about that. And again, you have people like Giuliani jumping into the fray and everyone weighing in ahead of 2016. So again, interesting stuff to say the least.
Yes.
The Telegraph has this interesting picture in a headline about Germany stunning the markets by rejecting a Greek offer for a bailout extension.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. Again, Greece had sought this 6-month assistance package rather than the renewal of the existing deal that would have come with more harsh austerity measures. And again, after this German rejection, it is true that apparently Merkel and Tsipras, the new Greek PM, spoke on the phone in a positive spirit to move things forward, but as of right, it's a good sign. But they're not out of the woods, so to speak.
Yeah, this standoff between Germany and Greece still continues.
Still going on. Yeah, still February, still cold stuff.
Absolutely.
South China Morning Post tells us that the chief executive there in Hong Kong, Leung Chun-ying, has urged Hong Kongers to be more like sheep.
What does that mean?
In his Lunar New Year message,
like in dress, in behavior, in demeanor,
in vocal enunciation. No, I don't know, but he says it's the year of the sheep, actually, and the sheep is a very family-friendly kind of, dare I say, docile animal. But he has encouraged people in Hong Kong to step up to the plate and be more sheep-like.
Well, this seems like a direct, comment addressed at the protests.
In a way, you could say it's a veiled reference to that.
Sheep kind of behave like each other,
like a flock.
Behaving differently. Exactly. So behave well, I think, is the general message.
I think it could be in there. Speaking of someone who's stepping away from the flock, Oregon, making gubernatorial news in the USA. The new governor of Oregon, 54-year-old Democrat Kate Brown, who was sworn in after an influence peddling scandal led to the ouster of her predecessor, is the first openly bisexual governor, apparently, in the world.
Wow, good for her.
So, and in Oregon, they're like, no big whoop.
Exactly. So, Oregon is really, liberal and
very much so.
Very good place to be, I would say, a bisexual politician. Absolutely. I think very welcoming and interesting.
Keeping it interesting
stuff.
there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for ending on a light note, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks for this press review. And